Dear friends, Quran teaches you how to kill your analytical mind. You lose your analytical mind, your right to question, your right to doubt. Before even you realize it, you kill your brain, your intellect, before you even realize it. Quran in Surah 54 or chapter 54 and in a few verses it says, let's go down to verse number 17. It reads, "And we have certainly made the Quran easy for remembrance. So, is there any who will remember?" And then you go to verse 22. "And how severe were my punishment and warning." That means you have to take heed to the instructions of the Quran, because the instructions are very simple, straightforward, and easy to understand. Then let's go to verse 32. It reads again, you can see verse 32, "And we have certainly made the Quran easy for remembrance." So, is there anyone who will remember? Then again, same surah 54 verse 40, it goes to say again, "And we have certainly made the Quran easy for remembrance. So is there any who will remember?" So it repeatedly claims that it has made itself very clear, complete, easy to understand. Now let's find out whether it's true. This is Surah Al-Baqarah, as you can see. That means chapter number 2. It starts with these words, Alif, Lam, Mim. These are known in Islamic theology, jurisprudence as Harf Muqattab. These are the opening verses, that similar opening verses you will find in 29 chapters of the Quran. And you will never find any translations of these verses, of these verses, or Harf Muqattab. You will not find in any Bengali, English, or Urdu or Spanish. In none of those translations you will ever find the meanings of these verses or translation of these verses, because most of the time these are simple alphabets, as Muhammad himself said that these are alphabets, although he was an unlettered man, as the Quran claims. But again, there was no explanation by Muhammad, the reasoning behind such openings of 29 chapters of the Quran. Muslim scholars throughout the centuries have tried to explain the reasoning behind such meaningless verses at the beginning of the surahs. They concocted their own interpretations, created their own understandings. Some even said that, for example, Alif is the first alphabet of the Arabic alphabets. So some said that as Allah starts with the alphabet Alif, so probably this Alif stands for Allah, and some even created the meaning of Lam, gave another meaning of this Mim. These are all in fact Arabic alphabets. There are similar alphabets you will find, as I said, in 29 other surahs of the Quran. For example, some surahs will start as Taha, similar and with similar openings. But one thing is agreed by all the Muslim scholars around the world, that nobody can say for sure what the reasons behind these verses or such kind of openings. And they say only Allah knows the reasoning behind such openings of surahs. Well, so we have to accept that we don't know the meaning of it. But again, Allah claims that He has made the Quran easy to understand, and there is guidance for us. So Surah Baqarah verse 1 and then verse 2 reads, "This is the book where there is no doubt." Really? Well, there is doubt. And Allah in Surah Bayyinah, there is another surah, Surah Bayyinah, there He says that the evidence is clear, that Quran is the evidence. Allah has made evidence clear. But I can see, I have doubts, because even all the Muslim scholars doubt the reasoning behind having such openings. But to me, this sounds like nonsense rhymes that usually you will find in many of the poems of medieval times and later times. For example, some things really do not mean anything. Fee, fi, fu, fam, I spill the blood of an Englishman, blah, 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 blah. Some will pronounce that a fi, fi, fu, fam, whatever, but those do not bear any particular meaning. So these are I call nonsense rhymes. So Muhammad, being an unlettered man and being surrounded mostly by illiterate people, didn't really know himself that why some poetries start with such nonsense rhymes, because he was nicking and picking from other poetries at times. For example, he stole poetries from famous Arabic poet Imrul Qais without even really understanding the love that Imrul Qais's poetries express, whereas Muhammad used his poetries and gave a different sort of meaning, added different verses to it. For example, Surah Zilzal, it was mostly plagiarized from Imrul Qais's poetry. Now coming back to the issue of Alif Lam Mim, you will find even this in Surah 29, which starts with verse 1, Alif Lam Mim, same, you can see, and there is no translation for it. Now I need to question this, don't I? If you go to Surah number 21, Surah Anbiya, and go to verse number 23, it reads, let's go to verse number 23, it will read, as you can see, Allah says, He is not questioned about what He does, but they will be questioned. That means we will be questioned, but Allah will not be questioned. So here Allah can reveal nonsense, unexplainable verses to us, and we just have to bear with it. So when our minds are set for such nonsense, and we are made recipients of such nonsense without questioning, and still we have to say there is no doubt in Allah's revelations, then what happens? You have already killed your analytical mind before you knew it even. So when we see that Muslims, especially Islamist terrorists, claim that, well, it's Allah's laws, Sharia, divine revelation, we don't have the mental capacity to understand, or we are not God, so we cannot question such revelations. What are they doing? They are being slaves to idiocy. They're being slaves to a way of life where analytical minds are not appreciated. No wonder Islam breeds trouble.